let's say, theoretically, you were to walk up to me tomorrow in real life and would ask me, hey Shinigami, which deck should I play this format? First of all, I would ask, why did you figure out where I live? Please go away, don't stalk me, leave me alone. Second of all, these are the 10 decks I would recommend to you. These are the top 10 decks I think are fun to play this month in November, and some of these aren't necessarily expensive. They're not ranked in strength, they're just ordered in what I would recommend to a random person walking up to me and asking, hey, what deck should I play? Starting off at number 10, we have Cyber Dragons. So this one is a dead giveaway. Honestly, the easiest excuse to pick up this deck is that you need 3 impermanents. The structure deck is about as expensive as impermanents, so you should already have a core of this deck anyway if you currently play the physical game. So the thing with this deck is that it has big OTKs, it has big fusions, and well, once again, it's very cheap to pick up. Even if you don't get the structure decks yourselves, others around you will have the structure deck, and almost the value of the other cards and structure combined are probably like a few euros. Everyone is buying the structure deck just for impermanence. And honestly, if you don't have impermanence, you probably should as well. It's a pretty fun deck, but most importantly, it doesn't take much to even play this deck. Like, you want those impermanents, unless you already have impermanents. Might as well become a Cyber Dragon player. My number 9 is Utopia. With the future support that should be in Brothers of Legends next month, this deck will become even stronger and will likely rank higher that month. However, even right now, I think it's a fun going second beatdown strategy. And the biggest benefit of Utopia is that a lot of people have forgotten these guys even exist. So it's kind of a sleeper deck. People will not be expecting this deck, and it's a solid investment, because in a month, the price of these cards will likely go up, as they usually do, and for probably not too much money, I don't expect Utopia stuff to be too expensive, you will be able to upgrade it into an even better deck. So it's a fun deck, it's an Xyz beatdown strategy, and it's, relatively cheap to upgrade soon, probably. My number 8 deck is something I don't know too much, I've seen it a few times, it kind of looked cool, is Unchained. Nobody is really talking about this deck except Distant Coder. They have a pretty cool design. One of those decks, that people don't even know what they do, If you welcome to your average Yu-Gi-Oh player, hey, can you explain Unchained to me? They'll look at you confused as they've probably never even read these cards. Let alone how to counter them. So yeah, it's a great pickup if nobody at your locals knows them, and they're kind of a unique deck. It's one of those decks I would definitely recommend. I don't think they're expensive, although I might be wrong. My number 7 deck is a bit of an odd combination, although it's one of my signature decks at this point. Dogmatica Fortune Lady. Is it a meta contender? Definitely not. A fun way to play Fortune Lady while actually using their boss monster? Yes. Just, you kind of have to sell your kidney for a place of Magician Souls, and Dogmatica also isn't very cheap. So it's one of those decks I would mainly play online unless you have the cards already laying around. But it's a really cool deck, and if you want to actually, summon the Fortune Lady boss monster, this is your best bet. My number 6 is Synchrons. Are they meta or even a meta contender? Probably not, at least I don't think so. Are they fun? Well, it depends on who you ask. If you love synchro summoning, this is one of the decks you should be looking for. 037 Wolf is your place to go for this deck. He's the literal synchron god, like what Triff is of the pendulums, 037 Wolf is of the synchron junk doppel deck / strategy. The guy's just insane with this deck, and honestly, if you even are remotely interested in synchros, I would at least check his channel out. My number 5 pick is a deck I might consider picking up myself soon. Cosmo. They are already very cheap, and their future's looking kind of bright, There's this card coming up called Piri Reis Map, which at the cost of half your life points can search the best starter, Cosmotin Can. At that point you will have 3 copies of Tin Can, 2 Emergency Teleport, and 3 Piri Reis Map. That means there are 8 copies of Tin Can in your deck. It also isn't a very cheap deck, like, I've looked it up for Don't Break the Bank, which is a future episode spoiler. Depending on your build, you can start at like $30 and go up to like $60, $70, depending on what you want to your extra deck. Maybe go a bit higher if you want a pot of extravagance. But still, this deck is very, very cheap, and I think it's a very unique, fun way to play just play a deck in this game, You don't really use the extra deck, except for a few instances. You just have huge spaceships that just crash into your opponent. I think it's a lot of fun. My number 4 deck is Schwarzoltanji. Now, it's not just a strong meta deck, but I also think it's legitimately fun. I've played this deck online for fun, and yeah, I had a great time. It kind of reminds me of Telodat in a way, if you know that deck. Like, you're just creating a strong board of specifically strong level 8 and a bit higher synchros. Nothing the deck really does is unfair to your opponent either. I mean, it's a strong deck, but It doesn't feel like your opponent can never win or anything. And it's somewhat unique. Biggest issue here, of course, is your budget, as the Tenji engine is cheap, but Schwarzol one definitely isn't. My number 3 is Zolkin Control / Vomit Zolkin / whatever you want to call this. It's a 100% original creation of my own. It combines Ultimate Zolkin and Cybernet Mining together with Vomit Skipper to create a very strong control-based combo deck. It's a combo control hybrid that actually works well. And once again, it runs Zolkin and Mining as 2 of the main cards. These were expensive, however they're getting reprinted in Eldorado. So yeah, with Mining getting a reprint, this deck won't be expensive at all. The only real expensive card at this point is Crystal Hulky Fibrax, and optionally Baronne. It's a very cheap deck. You get to run Ultimate Zolkin, in my opinion, one of the coolest boss monsters ever, to go into other cool Synchros. And you can just run a lot of traps depending on which locals or tournaments you go to. It's a very adaptable deck, since you can choose which traps you want to run, and that's why I love it. My number 2 deck is Hero. It's insanely strong with Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, but it's also very expensive, which is something you have to keep in mind. So yeah, unless you know a guy that has the entire deck and you can make a good trade, or unless you already have the deck, don't. But if we're talking about fun, this is definitely one of the most fun decks around. Maybe it's a great option if you play digitally, for example, and you don't need to actually pay for the cards. Konami, please start reprinting some hero cards that are expensive, thank you. My number 1 is Infernity. You know, it's me, Shinigami, like, what else were you expecting? Deck is still good, deck always has been good for a long while now. And nothing changed that, it's still fun, it's a very unique strategy. I have tons of content on my channel already. If you don't know where to start, check out my Infernity Master Guide. Although the build might not be 100% up to date anymore, due to, for example, the new B-Trooper spell that summons level 3 monster. It's still a very decent guide introduction to the deck. Yeah, honestly, it's just one of the most fun decks out there and still very unique to this day. If you don't want your opponent to have a chance at playing, this is the deck to go to. So yeah, these are the top 10 decks I recommend to play in November. Any I missed? Yeah, definitely exist. You can also just leave your suggestions in the comments. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.